Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Marif Temi. We got a packed show lined up for you guys today. We saw an incredible game last night, Game 4 between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder squeaking out of Minnesota with the win in honestly what was probably one of the best games of the playoffs so far. Whether it's going to be a playoff deciding win, whether it's going to be a series deciding win, that's yet to be seen. But we'll discuss everything that has to do with that in the segment coming up to start off the show. From there, we'll also preview the Knicks Pacers Game 4 later tonight. That is another massive series, another series deciding win. In my opinion, whoever wins this game coming up tonight is going to win the series, and we'll discuss everything that has to go with that game as well. To close out the show, we'll also discuss John Halliburton returning to the Indiana Pacers arena later tonight after his couple game suspension. But to also close out the show, we'll discuss the 2025 NBA all NBA teams that were just announced over the weekend. I know that was a little bit late. But we're here now, and we're going to discuss that to close out the show tonight. So it's a little bit of a shallower show. Like I've mentioned before, this is one of those times, one of those lull periods where we got the best of the NBA playoffs coming to a close, but the offseason hasn't really kicked off yet. So we're in this little lull period. But we'll get through it nonetheless. But we still got a packed show for you guys today. We still got an hour-long show. So sit back, relax, get some popcorn ready, and let's dive straight into this one. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions and comments from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, it has to use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. And everything is always greatly appreciated. It makes the show much more interactive. So if you have any questions for me to ask, any comments, any takes to get my thoughts on, feel free to leave them in the chat below, and I'll make sure to get to those as soon as I can. But let's get right into it here, because we got to get to the game last night. That was a superb game last night. That wasn't just good. It wasn't just great. It was an incredible game. A game between, do you guys realize that was a game between two teams that know how to close games, two playoff experienced teams that know how to close, know how to finish games, know how to go on comebacks to try and close out games. And these were two teams that were just throwing haymakers at one another. If the Thunder went down, they immediately fired right back. If the Timberwolves came down, they would usually, when the Timberwolves got down, they would cut the lead to, the Thunder would bloom the lead to about 5, 7, 10 points, and then the Timberwolves would go on a 7-0 run to cut the lead down to 3. So it was just a back and forth battle between both of these teams, and nobody was counted out till the very end. But seriously, phenomenal game. It came down though to the plays of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm pretty sure I said yesterday on the show, last night's game was going to be a game about the star players. It was going to be about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus Anthony Edwards. It was going to be Jalen Williams versus Julius Randle. It was going to be Chet Holmgren versus Jade McDaniels and the rest of the bench players on both teams. And that's how it came out to be, at least for the Thunder side of things. When we're looking at this, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, at some point or another, we need to discuss Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's current standpoint in the NBA in terms of how good he is stacking up with the rest of the NBA. There is a legitimate case to be made that he is the best player in the world right now. Last night in a crucial Game 4, 40 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds for SGA. A phenomenal game all around, as his playoff career high, going for almost a triple-double in what was the biggest game of his career in the playoff. It's probably his biggest game of his career, period. Seriously, how do you... The last time we saw a performance like this was probably Luka Doncic last year or Nikola Jokic 2 years ago. These are the creme de la cremes of the NBA. LeBron James, we've seen him do it time and time again in the playoffs. We've seen Jason Tatum do it. We've seen Anthony Edwards do it. We've seen Jalen Brunson do it. These are the star players of the NBA that show up on the biggest stages in the biggest moments and deliver in those moments. And we've seen SGA do it in the regular season. But to really solidify that title of being a superstar player, to really solidify the title of being one of the best players in the NBA, the time to do it is in the playoffs right now. And to show up like that in a conference finals matchup, the Thunder played a phenomenal game. I apologize. I keep rubbing my nose. The way that Shai has been playing, the way that the Thunder have been playing all around, it's just been phenomenal basketball, and they deserve. I'm pretty sure I said on my show that this game would decide who won the series, and it looks like I'm right because the way SGA played, Jalen Williams 34 points, Chet Holmgren 21 points. That is the big three of the Oklahoma City Thunder that's really stepped up. This is not a stat line that you would have seen 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago when the playoffs began. This is probably not a stat line that you would have seen against the Denver Nuggets. I was just lamenting here a week ago when the Thunder were playing the Nuggets in the second round that Jalen Williams needs to step up to grow into that number 2 option for the Thunder. Going off for 10, 12, 14 points was not going to get it done for Jalen Williams. Not only has he stepped up, but 34 points in a conference finals game. Chet Holmgren, 21 points. This was a phenomenal game from the Thunder. And in games where we see a lot of, with this team specifically, when we see a lot of ball movement, when we see a lot of depth, we see a bunch of guys getting involved instead of just 2, 3, 4 guys in this offense, this team has figured out a way. They know how to play multiple styles of basketball. And when you can do that, you can beat anybody in the playoffs. You can beat anybody in the league. Excuse me. Now I got hiccups. Great. But when we look at this Thunder team, this is a team that's put the Timberwolves now on the brink of elimination. Yeah, let's go with that for the last few minutes of this segment. We got Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Before I even look at the stats, the reason I said the Stars were going to show up in this one and then I immediately changed it to the Thunder, it's because Anthony Edwards decided to only go off for 16 points in this one. Julius Randle didn't show up, only had 5 points. When we look at this Timberwolves team, we know they have depth, and I've said it before. McDaniels, DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker, Naz Reid, Mike Conley, all the way down the list. You have 7, 8 guys that can go off for 10 plus points. 100%, no questions asked. But in the playoffs, your star players need to show up. If they don't show up, especially in crucial games like last night was, you're not going to win games. Your role players are bonus points. But it comes down to the play of star players. It has to be. Sorry about that, guys. Jesus. But it comes down to the star players in this one. It always has and it always will in the playoffs. It always comes down to the star players. If the star players don't show up, your team's not going to win 95% of the time. It's just how it goes in the playoffs. It is how it goes, especially down the stretch of games. You put the ball in the hands of your best player and say, we're down by 2 points. Go get a bucket for me. We need to change the momentum of this game. That's what it means to be a star player, a superstar level talent in the NBA. And Anthony Edwards did not answer that call last night. Whether it was the Thunder picking him up at midcourt, taking the ball out of his hands, giving him the double team, just whatever they could. Whatever they could throw at Anthony Edwards, they tried, and it worked. Only shooting 5 of 13 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3. But my only critique of Anthony Edwards in this one was, how do you only have 16 points? How do you only put up 13 shots? Nickeil Alexander-Walker put up 15 shots. Jaden McDaniels put up 15 shots. Dante DiVincenzo put up 11 shots. Like, how do you only put up 13 shots and you're the best player on the team in a crucial game 4 that if you lose, you're most likely going to go home because you're down 3-1 going back to Oklahoma City. It's difficult. It's tough. But this is the situation that the Timberwolves have put themselves in. And I have to go back and give love to the Thunder once again because this all comes down to the Thunder's play down the stretch. It comes down to their defense. It comes down to how good their offense plays. It comes down to their depth. It comes all around. When you have 3 guys on one team that go off for 95 points, 95 points of your total 128, you're probably not going to lose that game, especially when the other team's best player only has 16 points. This is not going to happen. It's not. And you had 3 guys on the Timberwolves. I'm not saying the Timberwolves played bad because I'm going to get to that in the next segment. That's why I haven't talked about it yet. Sorry about that. Just give me a couple minutes for that. But when we look at these 2 teams, we look at the Thunder, we look at the 3 best players on that team, the big 3. But on the Timberwolves, is Anthony Edwards getting a little too much? Is he getting overrated a little bit? Is he being talked about too much? Or is it the Thunder's defense that's getting underrated, even though they had the number 1 defensive rating in the league? That's what we're going to discuss here on the next segment coming right up. And we're going to discuss if this series is going to end in Oklahoma City or can the Minnesota Timberwolves force a Game 6 back in Minnesota? That is the question that we're going to ask, and we'll answer that in the next segment coming right up. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Patemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to switch gears over to not only the Minnesota Timberwolves side of things, but can the Thunder close this series on their home floor? Is it not only do they have the personnel to do it, but will they do it? Will they have enough firepower to close this team out on their home floor in Oklahoma City in Game 5? And on top of that, I didn't write in the title, but we're also going to discuss the Timberwolves side of things in this game and what went wrong for them in this game. But before we move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it. It also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. And I've said it before, you guys are a big part of what we do here on the GSMC Sports Network. So leave a question, leave a comment. It makes the show much more interactive. And if you guys have anything for me to answer, and just spice up the show to put your own touch on it, you guys can do that in the chat box below. So throw those questions, throw those comments right over there, and I'll be sure to answer those as soon as possible. But let's move right into it, because this was this game last night deserves 2 segments. And I've been doing this the last couple days now, giving each team their own love and hate sometimes, criticism, whatever it needs sometimes. We go both ways. Sorry about that. But let's just dive right into it here. I finished off my last segment starting to discuss the Minnesota Timberwolves side of things, and that's exactly where I want to go in this one. Because I said that Anthony Edwards did not show up in game 4 at all. Or not at all, but 16 points in a game 4, in a crucial game 4 when your team needs you, when the other team, their big 3 is going off and their big 3 is having a big impact on the game. Your best player needs to show up. He needs to. And Anthony Edwards, unfortunately, just didn't answer that call last night. Especially in a game where Nickeil Alexander-Walker leads the team with 23 points. Jaden McDaniels, 22 points. Dante DiVincenzo, 21 points. A lot of these points came in the fourth quarter, in the second half specifically. They showed up big time. Alexander-Walker getting hot from 3 in the third quarter. McDaniels hitting big shots throughout the game, it felt like. But Anthony Edwards, 16 points on 5 of 13 shooting. What's worse than Anthony Edwards' performance was Julius Randle's performance. 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 3, 5 turnovers. I'm sorry, but you're not going to win games. Julius Randle is being discussed with the title of playoff Randle, being discussed as one of the better role players in the NBA, one of the better, not only two-way players, but number 2 options a team can have. That is the Julius Randle that we're discussing here in the playoffs. We said it through the first round of the series, how important he was against the Lakers. We discussed his importance against the Golden State Warriors. We discussed his importance in the game that the Timberwolves won in this series. They won, and especially game 1 as well. There have been multiple times where Julius Randle has stepped up big time in the playoffs. But especially last night, he kind of reverted back to New York Knicks Julius Randle. And what I mean by that, if you guys can remember back when he was a New York Knick last year, what was the biggest reason that the New York Knicks were okay with letting Julius Randle? What was the biggest reason why they were okay with letting him walk out the door? The reason was because he had an issue being consistent on the offensive side of the ball. He wanted the ball in his hands. He wanted the ball to run through him. But the problem was the second his shot started missing, his confidence went from this or this to this. It would just nosedive. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, he just wouldn't take shots. And what you need to do as a shooter, if your shots start missing, you can't stop shooting, because your shot can change in a blink. You can get hot like this. We saw Nickeil Alexander-Walker do it last night. Even Julius Randle has done it. But the problem is when he does it, he starts off the game hot. He never gets hot mid-game. That doesn't happen. That's not the Julius Randle that we know. So, when we're looking at this team in the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're now on the brink of elimination, going back to Oklahoma City. Oh my! I want to say that they're going to bring this series back to Minnesota, but I'm also the guy that said that the Minnesota Timberwolves were going to win this series in 7 games. I'm the guy that said the Thunder were going to lose to the Nuggets or the Clippers, whoever won that first round series. It doesn't matter. At some point or another, I got to stop hating the Thunder, and I need to give them props and credit where credit is due. The way that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has played throughout these playoffs, the way that the Thunder have played throughout this regular season and the playoffs, now leading to they're 1 win away now. One win away from going to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2014. It's unbelievable. And I think they're going to close their series on their home floor. I don't think that the Timberwolves have it in them. If they do, if there's any chance in on God's green earth that there is a world that the Timberwolves can win Game 5, the only way it happens is if Anthony Edwards carries them to it. Because this is one of those losses last night in Game 4 that deflates a team. It deflates them. It puts them not because the Timberwolves did everything in their power. Their role players did. In this series, everybody in that locker room, I'm not guaranteeing this, but a lot of people in that locker room are going to look at Anthony Edwards and say, we showed up. Where were you? 5 of 13 is not going to cut it in the playoffs. And everybody in the league knows it. Everybody in the playoffs knows it. It's just unfortunate. And we know how Anthony Edwards can play. We know him at his peak is one of the best players in the league. He's a star player. He's one of the best. He's being discussed, and he well deserves. He's being discussed as being a member of the. He's being discussed as being the next face of the league when LeBron James and Steph Curry decide to retire. That is the Anthony Edwards. That is the conversation Anthony Edwards is in right now. So, I think Anthony Edwards is going to continue. Is going to show up in Game 5. He kind of has to. If he doesn't, we're going to crucify him once again, the same way we've done tonight, the same way we did this morning. We're going to do the same thing to him if he shows up like he did in Game 4 and Game 5. But the Anthony Edwards I know shows up, he'll go off for probably 30 to 35 points. Or maybe not 35, 25 to 30 points probably is more likely. Jaden McDaniels will probably have somewhere around 15. Julius Randle will have somewhere around 15. And the Timberwolves will lose Game 5. It's just my take. It's honestly a pretty strong take, I'd say. A lot of people would agree with it just because of how the Thunder have played down the stretch here. But it's going to come down to the plays of Julius Randle. It's going to come down to the star players for the Timberwolves. Because there have been games where we saw, funny enough, there are games where we've seen the Timberwolves bench be the reason why the Timberwolves lose games. And there have been also games where we said the starters are the reason. Unfortunately, it's that lull. And this was my biggest concern with the Timberwolves going into the playoffs. It's a little wishy-washy because I know I said this last week that I was shocked. I was pleasantly surprised at how the Timberwolves have played in these playoffs in terms of offensively. But whether it's the Thunder's defense that stifled them, whether it's whatever this has been in this series, it's been a different story. The Timberwolves have reverted back to their regular season selves, and it's shown up once again why they need a number 3 option on this, a number 3 reliable scorer, another reliable scorer on this team to put them over the top. That's what it felt like in the regular season. It felt like they were a top 5 team in the West, but it felt like the West was very good. And with how good the West was, it just felt like the Timberwolves didn't have enough firepower. That's simply just what's been proven in this series. Will it continue? We'll have to wait for Game 5 either tomorrow or Thursday. I honestly would be shocked. They've played every other day throughout the series, so I would be shocked if they play. Regardless, I'll figure it out. But regardless, this is a Timberwolves team that's just playing out of their minds, and they're going to continue to play. I think they're going to close out Game 5. It's plain and simple. I'm trying to figure out if Game 5 is on Tuesday. I mean, not today's Tuesday. If it's on Thursday or Wednesday, it is tomorrow. It's on Wednesday. So we'll see tomorrow. I'll be back here tomorrow at the same time. I'm not closing the show, but I'll be back here tomorrow and we'll preview Game 5. Hopefully we see some news of what to expect for Game 5. We'll look and figure out how it goes. But I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears from the Western Conference Finals back to the East, because we have an Eastern Conference Finals that's ready to boil over right now. We have the New York Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers. The Knicks shocking the Pacers in Game 3 in Indiana. The way that the Pacers, this is a similar loss to the Timberwolves last night, because even probably this is a worse loss than the Timberwolves last night, because the way the Pacers played in Game 3, my goodness, should they have won that game. And the way that the Knicks clawed their way back to win Game 3. It was a deflating loss, and we'll discuss everything to expect in Game 4 because of how vital of a Game 4 it is. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Meir Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we've switched gears over from the Western Conference Finals over to the East, because as much as there is to talk about the West, there is just as much, if not more, to discuss about the East, especially after that Game 3 that the Knicks won. Because the Knicks showed some grit, showed some Indiana Pacers-esque grit, depth, all-around play in Game 4. And it's a big reason why they won Game 4. So, let's just dive right into it. Before we get into Game 4, we have to go back throughout the series and take a trip down memory lane for the last week. Game 1, one of the best games of the playoffs, easily. In my opinion, still the best game of the playoffs. You see the Pacers go down by 20 points early on. The Knicks keep pushing it, all the way down to the fourth quarter with a 16-point lead midway through the fourth quarter. Pacers call a timeout, 108-92. With 6.5 minutes to play. Pacers come out of the timeout. Pascal Siakam hits big shots. Aaron Nesmith goes 5 of 6 from 3 over the last, 11 minutes including overtime? 11 minutes. Going 5 of 6 from three-point range, looking like the second coming of Steph Curry. You see Tyrese Halliburton hit big shots. You see Andrew Nembhard hit big shots. You see Aaron Nesmith draw fouls on Jalen Brunson, draw turnovers. Jalen Brunson with 7 turnovers in Game 1. We see Karl-Anthony Towns continue to hit big shots. We see OG Anunoby continue to hit big shots. It wasn't a Knicks collapse. It was just simply that the Pacers started shooting the ball lights out from not only three-point range, but the second that three ball started to fall, their defense turned into a wall and that the Knicks just couldn't get over. Plain and simple. Couldn't shoot over, couldn't get over, nothing. It was like a ball. They were like a deer stuck in headlights. And Tyrese Halliburton hitting a fall-away three-pointer or two-pointer with his foot on the line, pushing the game into overtime. And the rest was history. The Pacers continuing to lock up defensively, continuing to hit big shots down the stretch. Knicks getting the last touch on the ball, getting the last opportunity to possibly tie the game with a three-pointer, getting a couple good looks at it, missing both, and the Pacers running away with it in Game 1. Game 2 being a similar situation, not in the same way of a comeback, but Pacers just shooting the lights out, utilizing their depth big time, and taking Game 2 pretty decisively as well. And then Game 3 came around. When we didn't think this series could get any more interesting, when we thought the Pacers had the Knicks exactly where they wanted them, the Pacers come out, take a 20-point lead, go into the second quarter, going midway through the second quarter, going on an 11-0 run. I think it was more than an 11-0 run. It was way more than an 11-0 run. Sorry about that. But blooming the lead all the way up to 18 points. I believe it was a 55-37 point game, at 37 score at one point, 55-37 in the second quarter. If I'm trying to think back in my memory. I know it was insane though. Drawing turnovers, drawing fouls, Jalen Brunson having 4 fouls in the first half. I thought that was going to spell disaster for them. In any other situation, that would spell disaster for a team when your star player has 4 fouls in the first half. You can't put him in. You can't, because the teams are going after him in matchups, are seeking him out to draw turnovers, to draw offensive fouls, to draw fouls in general. Jalen Brunson was being sought after for matchups and on the offensive end of the ball for the Pacers. But yeah, this series has come down to this moment. And actually, I didn't finish describing Game 3. Game 3, it went all the way down to the wire. Knicks continuing to fight back after that Game 2, or after the second quarter deficit, fighting back all the way into the fourth quarter. Miles McBride hitting big shots. Karl Anthony Towns hitting crazy threes off his back foot, and he hit multiple and one threes off his back foot from way outside. Jalen Brunson hitting big shots. Mikal Bridges hitting big shots. It was an all-around phenomenal performance, and the Knicks pulled this one out, winning this game 104-99. Actually, it was 106-100. But regardless, this was a big-time win for the Knicks, because this was a game not only that the Pacers looked like they had, but it would have put them up. It would have put the Pacers up 3-0 in this series. Now it's 2-1 in Indiana. The way I thought this was going to go, I thought the Pacers were going to win Game 3, Knicks win Game 4, and then the Pacers win Game 5, close out the series. Game 3 kind of puts a wrench into things. Well, partially. I don't think it's fully wrenched yet. But let's say the Knicks, well, it's Game 4. It's a 2-1 series in Indiana. The Pacers should, on an initial thought, bounce back. But at the same time, we've seen teams kind of go into a slump after a loss like that. You lose on your home floor. You lose a game that you were up by 20 points in a similar fashion that you win games. They beat you. The Knicks beat the Pacers at their own game. They literally did. They utilized their depth. Tom Thibodeau trusted his bench in a way that we usually don't ever see, because Tom Thibodeau's notorious for using his starting five. Maybe use 2 guys off the bench, and then that's it. Use the 5, 6, you go into a 7-man rotation on the basketball court throughout games. In the playoffs, in the regular season, no matter what, that is his MO to do. And utilizing DeLon Wright off the bench was big time for them. They used a bunch of guys off the bench, not just DeLon Wright. He's just the first guy that comes to mind. But this is a Knicks team that showed up. And it was a big-time win for them. But in Game 4, I feel bad. I just took so much time recapping this series. We're gonna continue to talk about this series in the next segment, so don't go anywhere. We'll still be here to discuss more about this series. But when we're talking about Game 4 here, when we're talking about these two teams, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, Aaron Nesmith, we're looking at a group of teams, or we're looking at 2 teams that whoever wins this game tonight, in my opinion, is going to win the series. I think if the Knicks win, shockingly enough, I think that they'll probably win this series. This series, they regain home court advantage. They go back to New York. The Pacers will have to go back to New York with all the pressure on them, dropping both games at home, which would be incredible. That would be an incredible story. If the Knicks go down 2-0, win both games on the road, come back in a conference finals to New York, can you guys imagine Madison Square Garden in that situation? How loud Madison Square Garden would be? I seriously think whoever wins tonight wins the series. I think it comes down to, that's what I think it comes down to. It comes down to the star players. It comes down to Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, the rest of the group. It comes down to, because honestly, the depth of the Pacers is the star players. It comes down to the Knicks starting 5 versus the Pacers' depth. And honestly, it could just be a Game 3 fluke. We saw that the Nuggets were able to hang around with the Thunder for a while. using their offensive prowess, their starting five. But when you're looking at the New York Knicks, when you're looking at the Indiana Pacers at least, the way that they're able to speed the ball, the way that was the Thunder did as well. The Thunder tried, that's what the Thunder have been doing to the Timberwolves. They sped up the play, they move in transition, and they speed up the game. And when you do that, especially when you have a shallow bench, your guys get tired quicker. Maybe they don't get tired for a game. Maybe they don't get tired for 2 games. Maybe some way they don't get tired for 3 games. But I promise you, if this series goes 5, 6, 7 games, these guys will get tired. That's how it happens. Fatigue is a real thing. It really is. So I think whoever wins this game tonight wins the series. I really do. The Pacers show up like they normally do, like they can, and they take care of business on their home floor. They go up 3-1. This series either ends in New York, which I wouldn't be shocked of, or it ends back in Indiana in a Game 6, which honestly I'd also wouldn't mind because I said Pacers in 6 before the playoffs started or before these conference finals started. That's just my take on it. I really think these two teams are so evenly matched. And Tyrese Halliburton will be ready to go for this one. Jalen Brunson will be ready to go. And both teams will be ready to go. But yeah. I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to continue talking about the Eastern Conference Finals. And also, a star player's father finally being allowed back in the Pacers arena. You guys probably already know exactly who I'm talking about. But we'll discuss John Halliburton in the next segment coming right up. And we'll recap what he did to force the suspension and what to expect from him moving forward. And we'll discuss more of not only this series, but predict the NBA Finals as well. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Meir Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to switch gears from, let me retract that entire last couple words that I've said. We're not switching gears from the Eastern Conference Finals at all. First things first. I said that at the end of the last segment. But we're going to switch gears over to John Halliburton's news. Some news came out yesterday that John Halliburton has been allowed back in the Pacers arena for Game 4. Had been allowed into a suite box with the owners and everybody else. And this is a little bit of a shocking turnaround for John. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton's dad, big supporter, big moment for Tyrese. Tyrese possibly trying to clinch, or not clinch, but push the Knicks to the brink of elimination. Would go up 3-1, would most likely spell the end for the Knicks. So this is a big moment for the whole Halliburton family. But he will be allowed in the building. And if you guys don't know why he wasn't even allowed in the building, we'll go over that really quickly. Let's go back 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Wow. 3 weeks ago to the first round of the NBA playoffs. It was Game 5 between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. Milwaukee goes down. It was the game that Damian Lillard tore his Achilles. After the game's over, Giannis is just staring into space, spacing out, just looking like he's going through his emotions right now. And what does John Halliburton do? Stands up as a fan sitting on courtside, stands up, walks over to walks over onto the court, gets into Giannis's face and starts talking to him. Not just talking, but screaming at him, insulting him, saying, just pretty much sticking out his chest. Yeah, we beat you guys, this, that, and the other. I can't say everything here because this is YouTube Airways. We got to keep it PG. We got to keep it family friendly for everyone. But yeah, you can imagine Giannis did not take that lightly. At first, Giannis didn't actually react. He just stood there, still just shocked, still just figuring out what's going on. Just losing a playoff series, just a player that just simply wants to be competitive, losing another playoff series. Third time in a row going home in the first round. And then you have this player's dad getting up in your face, screaming, saying that he's better than you, saying that his son's better than you. Yeah. Giannis went after him in the game. In the post game, he apologized to John. John did the same to him over Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. Just all around. This was an all around bad look for John and the rest of the NBA. And this is a thing that the NBA swiftly went after John and banned him from all Indiana Pacers games and all games in general in the future of the NBA. But it seems like that only stood for about 3 weeks to a month, because now John will be allowed back in the building. He won't be allowed on court, so there is that, but he will be allowed in the sweep box. I would be shocked if the TV cameras did not go looking for him in the sweep box, because this is a big side story for this game. And yeah, we'll see if Tyrese can get it done, can push the Knicks to a game, could push the Knicks to the brink of elimination on Game 5, back in New York. We'll see how that goes. But going back to what I was talking about in the last segment, I didn't fully finish what I was talking about with the Pacers and Knicks. I really think it comes down to the pace of play. It comes down to the depth of the Pacers versus the starting five of the Knicks. It comes down to Karl Anthony Towns. It comes down to the rest of the guys. That starting five that nucleus of the New York Knicks needs to show up tonight in Game 4 if the Knicks want to have an opportunity to even this series. I really think that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to the play of Mikal Bridges. It's going to come down to the play of OG Anunoby. We know Jalen Brunson's going to show up. We know Karl Anthony Towns will show up. We know Josh Hart will still be a utility guy, the triple-double machine that he is, 10, 11, and 12 the way he always gets. 10 points, 11 rebounds, 12 assists, something along those lines. A phenomenal utility player, one of one, unique in his position, and he has his role, and he's very consistent with what he does. But in terms of the other guys, Mikal Bridges needs to show up. OG Anunoby needs to show up. Even a Miles McBride, we're not expecting as much from him, but 8 to 12 points is all you really need from a Miles McBride to be okay if you're the New York Knicks. So, yeah, I mean, that's just my take on it. I think the Pacers will win Game 4 tonight. That's my prediction, and they'll put the Knicks on the brink of elimination. The Knicks will force Game 6, and this series will be over in Indiana by the end of the weekend. I keep having these hiccups. Sorry about that, guys. Also, I have a little lighter. I just flick. It doesn't matter. I know you guys just saw me put this in my hand. I just mess with something on the side while I'm working. But ADHD. But when we're going back to this, if the Pacers win tonight, like I think they will, and they go back, they'll most likely win this series. With that note, with the Thunder up 3-1, I also think the Thunder are going to win that series. It would put the Thunder and Pacers on a collision course for the NBA Finals. And honestly, while it's two small market teams, two teams that are nobody expected to really make it here. Outside of the Thunder, we expected the Thunder, but the Pacers, nobody expected the Pacers to make it this far. I thought the Pacers would make it past the Cleveland Cavaliers in the second round. I did say that. But I thought the Celtics would take them out, and I still think a healthy Celtics team could have taken out this Pacers team. But nonetheless, we see the Thunder and the Pacers in the NBA Finals, and these are two teams that are so evenly matched. I have no idea what would happen. I think we're in for a 6 or 7 game series if that NBA Finals actually transpired. And honestly, it would be one of the better NBA Finals that we've ever seen. I really think so. I think as small market as a team as it would be, as there wouldn't be a lot of fan base hype around it. It would just be a lot of the basketball world that's fans of great basketball. If you're a fan of great basketball, you don't have to be a fan of either of these teams. But if you're a fan of basketball, you will love this series. This is a series based on pace, depth, space, shooting, coaching. Coaching is going to be incredible for both of these teams. Rick Carlisle on one side, the Thunder's coach, I can never remember his name. I'm so sorry. A young head coach that's really prospered in this league, has only been coaching the team for 2 years. And what has he done in those 2 years? Brought the team in not only once, but back-to-back years as the number one overall record in the Western Conference, not in the NBA. This year was the number one overall record in the NBA, not last year. Last year was the Boston Celtics. But this is a Thunder team that's going to show up and is going to step up. This is a Pacers team that's playing with a lot of confidence right now. They've probably they have more experience than the Thunder, I'd say, but nonetheless, neither of these teams have been in the NBA Finals. None of these players, I take that back. Pascal Siakam is the NBA champion, so that's probably I'll give the Pacers the edge just because of that. But these are two teams that are incredibly well matched. They're incredibly even. I don't know who to pick in this one. Part of me, I love the Thunder. I really do. And I think the way that they're able to play offense and defense, both sides of the ball at a high level, is going to be a big part of this series and is going to be a big reason why they win this series. But I have to roll with the Pacers. I'm rolling with the Pacers. Pacers in 7 games over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tyrese Halliburton wins his first Finals MVP, and the Indiana goes up in an uproar. I really think this is the year that the Pacers get it done. The way that they've played all playoffs long, they obliterate the Bucks in 5 games. They obliterate the Cavs in 5 games. And if they obliterate the Knicks like they have been in 5 games as well, this is a Pacers team that is, I don't know. I don't know what to expect in that series. And if we saw finals between the Thunder and Pacers, I have no idea what to expect. Both of these teams are so evenly matched, incredibly evenly matched. Oh my God. I don't know. Something tells me you I'm rolling with the Pacers though. You guys are going to clip me and you have my word. I'll stick with the Pacers throughout these finals. I have to. Unless the Thunder go up 2-1, even if the Thunder go up 2-1, if the Thunder go up 3-1, then I'll switch gears over to the Thunder and I'll say the Thunders have this series. But pre-finals prediction, I'm rolling with the Pacers. I think they're just playing incredible basketball right now. And I think the Thunder can be had. I think the Thunder, they're battle tested, absolutely. But I think I don't know. I think in a way the Eastern Conference Finals have been a little bit underrated. I know the West is incredibly stacked, and I mean stacked, but the Knicks are a great team. The Cleveland Cavaliers were a great team. The Boston Celtics were a great team. Outside of them, maybe you could say the first round was slippage, but second round and conference finals have been unbelievable. All 3 matchups in those 2 rounds. So, if there's anything to take away from these playoffs, it's just that the Eastern Conference is still loaded. We'll see how this all goes. I'm rolling with the Pacers though in this one. That's just my take, and I'm gonna leave it on that note because actually, will I leave it on that note? I still have a couple minutes. I could stick around for a little bit longer and chit chat. If we want to go back to game 4 a little bit longer, I think the Pacers win this one. Not decisively, but I think it's going to be a really close game. It's either the Pacers decide to bounce back or they're incredibly deflated. And if they're deflated, do not be shocked if the Knicks win this game by 20 plus points. I would not be shocked. There is a world where we see a tired, morally deflated Pacers team show up tonight. It's not something that I've seen, but this is a young team at the end of the day. This is still an incredibly young team that's showing up in Indiana. Excuse me. Off of a tough loss, trying to bounce back, going up against a tough, feisty, strong, gritty team in the New York Knicks that's battle-tested, that's been around for a while. Tom Thibodeau is a Hall of Fame level coach, has been in the league forever. I really think part of me wants to roll with the Knicks in this one because I think it's a 50-50 coin toss. I really think it is. Both teams have an opportunity to come out and win a massive game. Either the Knicks continue their road stand, which they've been playing phenomenally on the road all playoffs long. They go 2-1 against Boston. They go 3-0 against the Pistons. And now they're 1-0 against the Pacers. This is all on the road. So they've played incredibly well on the road. That's why I'm saying do not be shocked if the Knicks win this game pretty decisively. They play well on the road. They travel well. And they're going up against a young Pacers team that that just suffered probably their most devastating loss of the season, of the 2025 season. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just go back and watch the highlights of that game. Game 3, if you guys did not see it. Phenomenal all-around game. Phenomenal game. I cannot say it enough. It was such a good game. So, and the Pacers were running away with it. They really were. So, there's no reason why the Pacers should have lost this game. Should have lost that game 3. And I think they'll bounce back in game 4, in my opinion, and win that. But in the case that they don't and they're deflated, Knicks win this one. And we'll go from there. I have no idea. We'll discuss that predicament when we get there. Yes, if that happens, the Knicks will win this series, and we'll discuss that possibility as well. But yeah, I'll close the segment on that note. I took the last couple minutes. I'm gonna take one last short break. Coming up next, we're gonna switch gears over to the All NBA teams that were just announced. The 2025 All NBA teams have been announced. 3 teams, first, second, and third teams, and we'll discuss all of those in the next segment coming right up. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Marav Temi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to switch gears over to the All-NBA teams. And this is what I've been talking about for the last couple days now. This is the state of the NBA right now. We have the NBA playoffs still coming to a close right now, or coming to a close, kind of. And then we have the offseason that just hasn't kicked off yet. So we got these little sputtering bits of news that we like to throw in at the end of our shows here, and it's all we work with what the league gives us to work with. It's plain and simple. So we're just rolling with the punches here. That's why it's been a little bit of a shallower show. But my thoughts on the 2025 All-NBA teams that were just announced. I'm trying to pull them up here as I'm talking to you guys, because this is honestly some of the bigger, well, not bigger news, but this is still big news that is coming up. Why can't I find it? I literally just saw it this morning. No, I'm so sorry, guys. I actually can't. Why can't I find it? I literally saw it this morning. This is crazy. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, guys. But I remember I will literally say the first. Okay, I found it. Okay. That was confused. I should have set that up during the break. I'm so sorry about that, guys. But all NBA teams that were just announced. Starting with the first team, we got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the point guard, or I don't think this is in the starting five. Let's put it in the starting five. Why not? We have Donovan Mitchell at the point guard. We got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the shooting guard. Jason Tatum at the 3. Giannis at the 4, and Nikola Jokic at the 5. Personally, no problems with that list. Let me know what you guys think as well in the comments. As I'm reading these off, I'll give my thoughts, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts as well. So throw those thoughts in the chat. I'm speaking. I need to breathe. But for the second All-NBA team, we got Jalen Brunson. Why is it set up like this? Oh, well. We got Jalen Brunson at the point guard, Steph Curry at the shooting guard. That's why I said that. Anthony Edwards at the small forward, and then LeBron James at the power forward, and Evan Mobley at the 5. Me personally, actually, no, I'll take that back. Because okay, yeah, I'll take that back. But in the third round, you'll see exactly what I mean. For the third All-NBA team, we had Cade Cunningham at the point guard, James Harden at shooting guard. Why do you have... Okay, this is a weird team. You have I'm guessing, you have Tyrese Halliburton playing point guard. You have Jalen Williams playing shooting guard. Cade Cunningham at the 3. James Harden at the 4. And then Karl-Anthony Towns at the 5. I don't know. But that's a 3 on All-NBA team. I don't know how much I like that. Thinking back on it, I actually probably don't like that. Why is Bam Adebayo not on this list? What I was talking about, by the way, was James Harden. I thought James Harden should be on the second team, but he was on the third team. It is what it is. You could make an argument that him and Anthony Edwards should be switched, but I'm not going to make that here. I'm not ruffling those feathers. When we're looking at this, I'd say I'm trying to think of names I think Jamal Murray could possibly be on this list, even though I don't want any more point guards on this list. You could possibly argue Jalen Williams has played phenomenally all year, so I won't take any credit away from him. You could throw Luka maybe on this list. He didn't play. I mean, it's still Luka. We're talking about Luka Doncic here. He still played decently with the Lakers. He didn't play that bad to not even deserve a spot on this list. Oh well, I guess. I'm trying to think of, there's no way there's no other centers out there. There's no way you have a team where you have 3 point guards on this, 2 point guards and 2 shooting guards. No. I don't know exactly who to throw in. You could throw a Jaylen Brown possibly. Actually, yeah, why wouldn't throw in a Jaylen Brown for a Jalen Williams? Throw in the other Jalen. That's honestly probably my only critique. But honestly, it's not even a big critique. I kind of like this list. It was a phenomenal all-around all-around season for all these guys in the league. And honestly, I think the first team is just undisputed. I don't think you can argue another guy in the first. Maybe you could argue Steph Curry over Jason Tatum or Jalen Brunson. But those are the only 2 guys that could even argue over Jason Tatum. And I'm a Celtics fan. This is Jason Tatum that we're talking about here. But this is also the same Jason Tatum that hasn't had the greatest season. That hasn't had his greatest season. He really hasn't. But that's neither here nor there. Second team I like, and then third team I mentioned. I kind of want to see Jaylen Brown over Jalen Williams, but it is what it is. I just also think it would make it a much easier way to. I think I would rather see Jaylen Brown at the 4 than James Harden. I think that's fair to say. But, yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. I wish there was. This is what I'm talking about when I say these are my thoughts on the 2025 All-NBA season, because there's just not much to talk about. If we want to talk more about the finals, yeah, let's talk more about the finals. Let's carry on more of what we were talking about in the previous segment. When we're talking about the NBA finals, we're talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Let's talk about all the guys that are still possibly involved here. I won't talk about Anthony Edwards because I think that the Timberwolves are probably going to lose. But you have SGA, you have Jalen Brunson, you have Karl-Anthony Towns, you have Tyrese Halliburton. These are all guys that have been playing out of their minds this season. And it's a big reason why their teams are where they are, why the Pacers are as good as they are, why the Knicks are still involved in the why they still have a chance in this series, why the Thunder have played as well as they have. Anthony Edwards, you're a great player, but you played really bad in Game 4. And whether that has to do with your ankle injury from Game 1 or not, I don't know. But you need to show up in Game 5. Unless you do in Game 5, I don't want to hear anything about Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't want to hear it. But when we're looking at this All-NBA team, I really think it comes down to those top 2 guys at the top of the list. SGA, Nikola Jokic. I wonder if this list is built on the voting. Wow, I actually just thought about that. It definitely is. Also, now that I'm looking at it, why is Donovan Mitchell over Steph Curry in this list? Or Jalen Brunson? That makes no sense. Actually, that's probably my critique. I would want Jalen Brunson or Curry, probably Brunson over Donovan Mitchell. That's just my take on it. But, yeah, that's the All-NBA list right there. In the NBA Finals, we'll kick off shortly in the next, I think, what does it start? June 10th? The funny thing about the NBA Finals is that they solidify the date of them early on in the season for whatever reason. They start June 5th. So they'll start next week. By the time the weekend ends, we should have an idea of who's going to be in the finals. But yeah, that's where we are right now. There's not much. We have a 2-1 series. We have a big Game 4 tonight between the Pacers and Knicks. We saw a big Game 4 last night with the Timberwolves and Thunder. Thunder going up 3-1 on the Timberwolves, pushing them to the brink of elimination. Thunder going back to their home floor, where I think they'll end this series, and they'll just sit and await the winner of this Knicks Pacers. I think this Knicks Pacers series still could go 6 games, but the only way it does go 6 or 7 games is if the Knicks win tonight. If the Knicks lose tonight, the series ends in 5 or 6. Max 6. If it goes past 6 games, that's crazy, but I don't think it's going to. If it goes past 6 games, I think the Pacers, we'll get there when we get there. I just don't think that's going to happen. If that happens, the Knicks are going to win this series. If the Knicks win tonight, they're going to win this series. If the Pacers win tonight, they'll win this series. That's how it's all going to shape out. That's how it shapes out, plain and simple. But, yeah, I mean, that's all I really got for the show today. I mean, this is the thing with you guys. I know I love talking about basketball, but this time of year, it's always this time of year. It's so hard to talk about basketball because there's not that much to talk about. You talk about the Western Conference Finals, you talk about the East, talk about the All-NBA teams. Cool, all great things. But it's just hard to talk about that for an extended period of time. So I hope you guys stuck around for all of that. And yeah, I mean, I hope I didn't bore you guys and repeat myself a bunch of times. I hope you guys could bear with me during this time. But yeah, that's just my take on everything. Thank you guys for watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to leave a positive review in the comments below. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon. If you guys have any topics or ideas of topics that you guys want me to talk about, your fan favorites, leave them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to answer those. I might make a segment of all of your fan favorites and just make a compilation of them. I really would. So feel free to leave those in the comments below. And any questions or takes that you guys might have, any questions or something that you guys didn't like that I said, feel free to leave those in the comments below as well. I'll answer everything in there. But thank you guys for watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Marif Fatemi, signing off. We had a phenomenal Game 4 last night. We got a phenomenal Game 4 lined up tonight. And you best believe I'll be back here at 9 a.m., same time as always, to talk some more basketball tomorrow morning. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday mornings and days in general. For me, it's 10:30, but I hope you guys have a wonderful rest.